Okay, Carl Edwards has joined us. Carl drives the number 99 Fastenal Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. And Carl, coming in here to Pocono, 6 races to go before we establish the chase field. And certainly you have your eyes on victory lane, I would think.
Yeah, that's our mission this week, is to go win the race. We had the best practice we've had in a long time here just a couple of minutes ago. So Chad and all the guys on our Fastenal team are doing a really good job. That is truly the best balance and the fastest car we've had here for years. So I think all of our Fords are pretty fast. I think that, I think we gave one away last week, at least a good run. You know, we had our trouble last week, but at least we had a fast car, and we've built on that here for the first practice. And I think we've got as good of a race car as we've ever had at this racetrack. So it's I'm having fun, and like you said, we're focused on getting that victory.
We'll take some questions now for Carl. If you have one, raise your hand. We have a couple of wireless. If we can get the mic down here to gentleman right here.
Scott Walsh from the Scranton Times. Carl, can you talk about your mindset with 6 to go to the chase? Are you in panic mode? Are you in must-wins? You feel you're in must-win situation, or because of where you are in the points, you feel you just got to try to accumulate as many points as possible?
We don't ever panic. There's we don't feel that. We just we know we have to go win races, and that's really, at the end of the day, that's our job. I mean, we're supposed to be here just to win races, so it's kind of fun in a way to just have that one singular focus. And I think that we're gonna be pretty good. I think we can do it. I mean, I know we can. We just have to go do it. We have to go make the most of these fast race cars. We have to take chances and remember when we're out there racing that this is not we're not racing for points. We're not racing for anything other than get that victory. And in a way, that's a simple way to go race, and it's pretty fun. So we're going to try to just have fun with it, make the most of it, and hopefully it works out.
Let's go with Claire, and then we'll go back to David and then Bill.
Claire B. Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I was talking to Ty Dillon, and he sort of came to an awakening that he did so well in the nationwide race because he wasn't worried about points, because he was enjoying it. And he said, I have to learn that I was focused too much on the stress and pressure. In a sense, maybe that's part of what you're talking about. But, has this been a humbling experience for you? Has it been an awakening experience? Has it been a sobering experience? And can you really go back to just the fun of racing and then do better?
Well, I feel like as a driver, I feel like I'm pretty good at managing all those pressures and not letting the idea of racing for points take away from how aggressive I am. I feel like I've managed that pretty well. But sometimes you just get put in a position where really it doesn't matter if you go points racing, and that's the position we're in. So there's a whole dimension of the sport right now for us, that getting the most points you can, all that stuff, that it really doesn't matter. So it's we're not in that position very often. It is different, and like I said, I think all we can do is go make the most of it. I guess it's not. I've been humbled before in this sport a number of times where we've expected to run very well in the points, and then we've had misfortune or poor performance, and we haven't done very well. So I'm not. This is nothing new. I respect how tough this sport is. So the position we're in now is not shocking to me or anything. It's frustrating, and it's just too bad. But we've been here before, and I feel like we're strong enough as a team. We're fast enough. We're mentally tough enough to just go do the best we can and not let this bring us down any farther. And I think that's evidenced by how we qualified last week, how we're running right now. I mean, we haven't really missed a beat. Other than the things that have happened that have, like the problem last week and things like that. We haven't really gone out and made big mistakes, which has been good.
But do you think sometimes if you're not trying so hard and you're just, it would have come easier earlier? Trying so hard that...
I don't know. If you look at the things that really set us back here this season, none of them have come from trying too hard or big mistakes. It's been some pretty fluke stuff that is... a lot of it's pretty new to me. I mean, things that, last week our best guess is that we had a problem with the way the spark plug boot engaged the spark plug. So, I mean, that's like, stuff that, you can go running my dirt modified for years. I didn't have that problem. Things that are just fluke things that shouldn't be happening are happening to us, and you can't control those things. You got to go control the things you can, give the best effort you can, and fortunately right now our cars are fast. That's nice. The last couple of weeks have been really good.
Okay, let's go to David, and then we'll go to Bill Fleshman, and then Marty.
David Carville on NASCAR.com. You were you are taking part in the 2013 car tests next week at Martinsville, correct?
Yes, I am going to be part of it.
What do you expect or hope to get out of that?
Personally, I hope just to get some laps at Martinsville to figure out what I'm missing there. Anytime I could get some laps at Martinsville, I think it's good. I've had very poor showings at that racetrack for a long time. So that, to me personally, I don't know what the test plan is. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I'm just going to go there, try to get some good laps, and hopefully someone like Denny or Jeff Gordon or one of those guys is there, so I can have someone to compare myself with and go, stand down the corner and watch what they're doing. That's my mission there, is to just go be the best I can be at that race. No, I don't even. The guys are going to take care of the car. As soon as they said there's a Martinsville test available, I was like, I'm going. I'll be there. I don't care if we're testing bicycles or whatever we're doing. If I can just be at that track and try to soak up whatever it is that makes people faster, I need to be there. So that's what I'm going for.
Let's go down here to Bill, and then we'll go over to Marty.
Bill Fleischman, Philadelphia Daily News. Carl, after working with Bob Osborne for so long, what's it been like working with your new crew chief, and how's Bob doing?
I think Bob's doing pretty well. I've talked to him, text him back and forth and stuff, and he doesn't say much. He's just working. I heard he was complaining about some of the projects they had him working on at the shop, so that makes me feel like he's doing okay. So as far as Chad, I heard a good one the other day. They said that the Flintstones, they take Chad Norris vitamins. I thought that was a pretty good one. But as far as I can tell, that stuff's true. Chad is a pretty a real racer. He's really dedicated. He's a very different kind of guy as far as I can tell from Bob. But I still don't know him yet. I mean, I haven't really, I don't know his middle name. I don't know I don't know where his house is at. I don't know anything about him. So in a way that makes it a little bit simpler. We communicate just at the level of how the car is balanced, what our plans are. There's no other things to talk about because we don't really know each other. So that's been a lot different, and I think it's been good. I think it's what we need right now. And if it works, that would be great. And that's what we're just gonna keep digging.
Let's go over here to Marty, then we'll come down here to Reed. Go ahead, Marty.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Carl, for the majority of the season, you guys just haven't made speed like you need to. But the last 2 weeks, you have. You were very fast in practice this morning. You were very fast at Indianapolis all weekend until you had the trouble. Is that a mindset thing, or why is that happening? What changed?
There are a couple of little things that there are a number of reasons. But basically, we've been trending our whole shop. We've been figuring a couple things out and working towards some things. So you can see all the cars are running pretty well. But I feel that Chad and the guys are doing things just a little bit differently. Just the last 2 weeks. Now anything can change. We haven't run a lot, but I think the things that they're doing are making the cars show a little more speed. And I think that. What you just said is key. If we can be fast, the rest of the stuff, just boils down to putting yourself in a position to use that speed and have some good luck. And if we can do this every week like we've done just this week and a half so far, I mean, we will be in victory lane, and hopefully it's soon enough. Hopefully we can do it soon enough. But I can't point to one thing we're doing. I know there are a couple little technical things we're doing differently. I can't talk about those specifically, but they're working right now.
Go ahead, Reed.
I Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. The decision to race Watkins Glen in the nationwide race, is that because Saturday helped Sunday with the similarity of the races, or are you just finally to the point where you're stir crazy on Saturday now, or and might you do a couple of more of these during this stretch?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think that Right now, we're trying anything. We're going to just go out and throw it all up there and see what sticks. And the opportunity was presented by Ford and by Jack that, hey, you can run this nationwide race at Watkins Glen. I thought about it a little bit, and then I thought, what am I doing? Of course I'll run that race. I mean, it gives me a chance to go have a little bit of fun. We can practice some things we want to try on the Cup car, and maybe it'll help me. You know, I think it's about time to go ahead and give that a shot, and I thought it was a really good opportunity, and I think Subway's coming on board, so it'll be fun to run their paint scheme. And Scott Graves is a crew chief, and Scott was the engineer on the nationwide car for all of our wins last year with Mike Beam as the crew chief. So this is a big deal for him. He's really excited about the opportunity to go be a crew chief. I mean, he was very, very, very excited when we told him, and you know, it'd be nice to go do that and be a part of his first race. So the whole thing worked out. I think it's just going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully, you know, at the end of the day, we can get a win and help for Sunday.
Is it a one-off or might there be others?
I don't know how many we'll do. This one just came up, you know, and there's the other factor that Ricky and those guys wanted someone at the road course to bounce information off of. So if it goes well, if we have fun, and if it gets us in gear for Sunday's race, then there probably would be more. And I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen though after that race.
All the way back again to David.
Carl, how much do you think the speed in your car the last 2 weeks has to do with Chad coming from the R&D department, where they've been allowed to really get ahead of the curve in terms of car development?
That's probably a better question than I'm able to answer. The technical stuff, you know, I can't. There's probably a lot there. You know, I think that Chad, obviously being on the R&D side, me at the cutting edge of all the little things we're doing, he's able to come over and look at the car a little bit differently, and I think that's good.
Other questions for Carl? Bob and then Mike. I'll get Mike. You'll take Bob.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. I don't know how well you know Allmendinger at all, but do you think he'll be able to come back? I mean, he's going to have to find now a new sponsor and a new team.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the story. I just saw the headlines the other day. Pardon my ignorance, but they just released him. They said, so they don't have an agreement anymore at all. Has NASCAR said how long until they would allow AJ to come back and race? Okay, so I think it's still up in the air, but I would have to say from my limited interaction with AJ, he seems like a very, very, you know, mentally tough guy that can just, you know, he can deal with things pretty well. I've sat in a lot of meetings with him. I've been on the racetrack with him a lot, and I think that, you know, as a racer, I think he's a very fast racer. I don't know him personally, but you know, very well. But it seems like he'll, you know, if anybody could come back from it, he seems like he could do it. You know, he's a young guy with a lot of enthusiasm and huge talent. So, you know, I wish him the best. Of course, yeah, I'd be fine racing against him.
Mike Mullin, MikeMullin.net. Some crew chiefs here have suggested that going into one with the speeds, they're a little worried about the brakes. Now, we're always worried about brakes at places like this. Yeah. I think the 31 blew a brake rudder out last weekend, and I don't know what happened to Paul Menard, but you saw that. What's your thinking about turn one and brakes here?
That's what I was going to ask about Paul. I was really surprised that at that 31's brake problem last week, because I didn't know as a group in the garage we were pushing it that hard. I know Drew is, you know, very astute. I know Jeff Burton isn't going to be the guy to abuse the brakes, so that surprised me when they said that happened. Did other guys have brake problems as well? Yeah. I think anytime you're going this fast, the racing is as close as it is, and you know there's so much energy in those race cars at the end of the straightaway. To slow them down takes you know, puts a lot of heat through the brake system. And then the other thing that the drivers, I know I don't think about it enough, but when you're following people, you forget you're not getting that high pressure air in the brake ducts, and you don't cool the brakes as well. And so I wonder if that was part of the problem with Jeff. I don't know if he was following. No, you have to read the way you read your brake temperatures is you can feel that pedal. You know, you can tell when it starts getting hot. Sometimes the fluid will boil a little bit, and it'll get a little mushy. And then sometimes when you shock cool them, they'll get a little rough, and you can feel the pedal bouncing, because there's buildup or cracks or whatever in the rotors. But, man, it's really hard to diagnose your brakes just through the pedal. For a long time I've said they ought to have some sort of little shocker or something comes up in the seat. You push the brakes, it shocks you, so you get this negative, reinforcement to push the brake pedal. Haven't figured that one out yet, but I think Bob, that might be one of the projects Bob's working on. He'd probably like to have some sort of shocker hooked to me. What else is going on, guys?
Get him right there.
Hi, Dave Smith from T102 Radio. At Pocono, what's your favorite turn and your least favorite?
That's a really good question. Can you have 3 least favorite turns at Pocono? Every one of them gives me problems. This is the best we've been for a long time, this practice session. But generally, I get down into turn 1, and I go in way too fast. The thing won't turn. Then I step on the throttle, and I'm really loose. And then by the time I build my courage back up for the tunnel turn, I either underdrive it or overdrive it. And I don't know what it looks like on TV, but if you underdrive the tunnel turn, you hit that curb, and it wastes your whole lap. I have a history of doing that, and that's given me a ton of trouble. And then turn 3, it's so flat, and if you're loose, you get in there and you slide that thing all the way up to the fence, and it's really, really tough to be soft enough on the pedals and not shock the tires and all that. So all 3 of them are very different, and the first time I came here, that's the biggest thing I noticed. It was a very mentally taxing racetrack because you're attacking 3 totally different corners over and over, and it's hard to keep them all 3 straight. I know that sounds silly, but we're only race car drivers. 3 corners is an awful lot, and it's a pretty tough place.
Any other questions for Carl? Bob?
And as far as the tires at Michigan, we heard last April after the tire test, they were all good. We'll be fine. Yeah. And then, so now we hear, we're going to be all good. Right. What gives you more confidence that they will be good this time around?
I don't even know what tire we're coming back with. We went there and we tested, and I think we were just one of the kind of the guinea pigs. Our team, they just had us go run. And then Goodyear kept coming over to me and asking me, hey, is it okay? And they were better. They drove better than the tires before. But so I don't know exactly what they're going to do with that information, but I haven't heard exactly what tire we're going to come back with. I know they don't want to go through the same thing they went through. But at the end of the day, even if we had the same problem, I know they have tires that they can put on the cars. They won't drive really well, but they have tires that can make through the race and make a good race. But it seemed fine.
Over here to David.
I don't know if I was part of that first test. Maybe that's why they didn't ask me too many questions the second test. But
yeah, Carl, David Newton, ESPN.com. When you watch the Olympics, it's all about the athlete, how well they do in the pool or the parallel bars, whatever. When you come here, you can be in the best shape you can be in, right, and in the car something wrong. How is that the deal with being an athlete, knowing you're depending on machine instead of just yourself?
That's a good question. Tell you one thing I noticed from the Olympics, they're hard on those guys. The press, have you noticed? The Olympians aren't maybe they're not as salty as us or something, but you guys get away with a lot rougher questions with those guys than you do with us. Anyway, I could go on a rant about that. That's pretty funny though. But I think that my thinking on that has changed a little bit. I always thought, okay, when I started racing, I thought, well, this is great. I'm a total control freak, so to me, it was great. I controlled what happened with the car. I picked the setup. I, built the car and did all these things, and it was an individual sport. And I think a lot of racers are like that. You want to do everything yourself. Then I realized, man, you can have mechanical things happen, and that's how we really look at the sport. I think as a whole, is there's the driver and the car. I've realized those mechanical things are put together and built by other people. So really, it's just more people involved. Now, still there are some mechanical problems, like the problem we had last week, but most of that has a human action involved in it. So there are days. The short answer would be there are days when I really, really wish we could just park the cars, get out and have a foot race or some sort of physical competition, anything, because I feel like my car is holding me up. But there are a lot of days or my car has made me look like a really great race car driver. And I think that still boils down to people. You know, it's all about people. Yeah. Right. Yeah, well, I think in general, most of Jimmy Johnson's success comes from his car. I mean, it has nothing to do with Jimmy. At least that's what I'm thinking. But they're really, you can, in this sport, you can be as physically and mentally prepared as you can be. You can be the best race car driver that you can be, but if your car isn't good or somebody at the shop isn't paying attention when they put something together, you're right. That can be bad. But that's part of what makes the sport so neat. When you stand there in victory lane and you look at your engine guy and your crew chief and your engineer and all these people, and everyone's worked together and as a team and built something better than all of the other teams out there, and then you drove it really well, all those things come together it's a really neat feeling. But it is truly a different type of sport. And we talked about that while we were watching the Olympics. You know, all these different sports in the Olympics, why can't we have auto racing in the Olympics? Because, if you won, you'd have to give a gold medal to every guy down the line, the tire guy, and there's so many parts of a race team that it's not an individual sport. And I appreciate that on a lot of days. I think it's a lot of fun.
Steve?
So if you were in the Olympics, what sport would it be? What sport?
I can tell you a lot of sports that it wouldn't be. I've been watching the Olympics, and there are a lot. I'm like, I could do that part for like 1 second. I could do that, and then I can't. I don't know what I'd do in the Olympics. I don't.
Not a clue?
No.
You flip well. Could you do gymnastics?
No. I'd need a race car out there to jump off of to do any gymnastics. But I have been watching. It's been really neat to watch. When my coach, my trainer, Dean Galich from Carmichael Training Systems, he's over at the Olympics with a couple of athletes that he trains. And to have everything culminate from 4 years of work to one, floor exercise or one time trial on a bike or 100-meter race in a pool would be, I can't imagine the amount of pressure that would be on. We get to do this 38 times a year or something like that, and it still feels like a lot of pressure to me, but that would be very, very difficult. I have a lot of respect for all those athletes. It's amazing.
Mike?
Following up on that, I know it sounds absurd for NASCAR or stock cars or any kind of racing in the Olympics, but I watched some of that stuff. I mean, I don't know what they do with horses out there, but there's a lot of stuff in the Olympics that's like really weird stuff that you don't see like every day, and at least you see racing every day. Do you think there could be some kind of Formula One type, or you do you've done the thing in Paris, right?
The closest thing I've done is that Race of Champions, and that's a pretty neat format. I just don't know how you'd do racing. I don't know. That would be interesting, but there's probably a way to do it. I don't know. I don't know if the world's ready for a bunch of race car drivers in the Olympics. I don't know if Bob Costas could explain some of the things we would do and say.
Carl, thanks for coming in, and certainly we wish you all the best this weekend.
Thanks a lot, guys. Hope to see you here Sunday.
Thank you.